This kid is a gamer slave. He literally has to play for all the bullies or else he gets his teeth knocked out. But that's also what got him close to the girl with the biggest melons in school. And I'll warn you now, some pretty spicy stuff is coming up in the future. He's even going to sleep with her. Literally the hottest girl of them all, in the loser's bed. Although by that point, he'll also have a pretty solid physique. All thanks to the games he was addicted to. He played every chance he got and was max level in several games. Now this kid can just copy any skill from any game he's already played. With that, he goes from loser trash talentless lapdog of the bullies to a guy who's good with his fists, a total hottie. And now every girl in school wants him. They all do everything they can to get a little time with him. Now which one he'll end up with? We'll find out soon. Would you pick the brunette with the big hair, or the brunette with short hair? Maybe the one with white hair. And more options are definitely coming. You can count on it, nice. Back in the classrooms are what got him close to the hot girl. However, that day this girl stole all his attention. When she said goodbye and called Dawan by his name, Dawan, the guy froze up. System error. The hottest girl in school knew his name. But suddenly something grabbed his attention again. The character he was taking care of died while he was talking. As a penalty, the King of Justice's sword dropped. When he thought Chul Wu, the school psycho, would be furious. It was already too late. Somebody's about to get wrecked today to pay for that sword. Dawan just says he'll give him his own collectible sword, so he shouldn't be mad. However, Chul Wu says that doesn't clear him of guilt, and starts beating him up again, tenderizing the meat before the barbecue. Afterward, he's left lying on the ground to think about his life. The delinquent then says he started playing a new RPG. Dawan, the loser, only has 1 week to get the Fire King's broadsword. Of course, that's impossible. But to motivate our loser gamer even more, he says he saw Dawan blushing over Erenju in class. If he doesn't bring the sword in 1 week, he'll strip him naked and beat him up in front of the hot girl. Oh no. Then Cholu's friends call him over and Dawan is left alone. He truly hates games. Or rather, he loves playing, just not when people force him to. Since his mom is away on a business trip, he uses the time to try getting the sword. Nolo demanded his in-game character is level 100, so he is strong. The problem is the enemies have gotten stronger too. That makes the Fire King's sword much harder to get. After 18 hours he beats the Fire King and only needs to the drop. After 37 hours he gets only a fire sword, not the King's sword. After 64 hours, he has even burned through all his savings chasing chest drops for that weapon. The whole thing keeps getting harder and he is beyond tired. After 144 hours he has just 1 day left. If he does not get the sword, he will be beaten naked in front of Eren. Just when he is ready to give up, a knight appears to help him. It is another player, level 200, way stronger than Dawan. The player asks if they should team up since they are after the same goal. With only a day left and no other option, he drops to his knees and begs for help. A few hours later he finally gets the Fire King's sword. He also gets the Fire God's sword. Now he has 2 swords because that one is God tier. He thinks about selling it somehow, but he lets go of that greed. Instead, he gives the Fire God's sword to the knight as thanks for helping him. At last he can rest for a few hours, but when he tries to stand he suddenly collapses. He has not slept for 7 days, barely eaten and taken way too much caffeine. His body gives out and he dies. Then a system screen appears in front of him. It starts analyzing his life patterns. When it finishes, Dawan is labeled a normal class player with no power. The system asks if he wants to start a search event and Dawan unconsciously accepts. The system takes that as approval and sends Dawan back to his classroom. He has returned to the moment right before everything went wrong. Dawan is completely confused. Was all of that just a dream? But if it was, why is there an info window in front of him? Could he be inside a game? One window says it will analyze him based on the games he has played. That means he can gain abilities from games he fully completed. While the system calculates his experience, Chol Woman sneaks up behind him again. It is the same scene as before. This time Dawan glares at him with hatred because of Chol Wu. He died miserably. Cholu gets mad at that look, grabs him by the shirt and starts beating him. Dawan realizes this is not a dream. The pain is real. The hits keep coming, one hard blow after another. Cholu will stop only when his anger runs out, and who knows when that will be. Eren comes back because she forgot her phone in the classroom, but she walks in at the worst possible moment. She is about to see Dawan get beaten badly. For him, that is the most humiliating part, getting crushed in front of the girl he likes. Eren tries to stop it, but Chol Wu grabs her by the hair. Dawan just stares. What is he supposed to do? Fight back, move, call a teacher, ask for help? He cannot. He is terrified. As Chol Wu is ready to hit again, Dawan finally gathers the courage to swing back, but Chol Wu blocks it. Is this how it ends? Then the system finishes calculating his experience. After analyzing him, it raises him to a legendary class that unlocks a new skill. This devastating blows. Not without even realizing it, Dawan uses a skill from one of his favorite game characters. Message from the administrator tells him not to be shocked. This is a gift to repay him for the Fire God sword. Dawan realizes the administrator is the knight. After beating his enemy, he earns 200 experience points which fill his current XP bar. With that full amount he is promoted to final class. All his skills unlock, each one coming from games he has played. After seeing all that, Aaron asks Dowan where he learned to fight like that. But those questions can wait. Right now he needs the nurse. He can barely believe what he just did. He really used skills from a game like the fantasy story he wrote as a kid, only much more real. His stats are insanely high. But that excitement vanishes when a message says all granted power will be locked. As a result, his stats and skills are reduced and sealed. When he checks again, both his physical and mental stats are at 0. Maybe if he had not beaten Xia Wu Min, those powers would not have kicked in. But either way, after defeating Xia Wu Wo, he gets a gold key. This time it appears as a real object. After leaving the infirmary, he notices the key seems to open something when it is turned. For now, he decides not to use it. First, he needs to find out who the system administrator really is. Another message appears. It says he is invited somewhere tonight. Nart has to accept the quest, but the invitation is dangerous. The guy coming out of the bathroom bumps into Dowan. He quickly apologizes, but the other boy is the one with a bloody nose. Maybe it happened from the collision. Still, the boy brushes it off and walks away. When Dowan enters the bathroom, a guy named Jaman Shin greets us. He says hello because he saw Dowan hit Chuman. Is he here for revenge? No, instead he invites Dowan to karaoke with some girls. That offer matches the quest exactly. If he clears it, he gets a reward. This could help him get stronger. But he still hesitates. He cannot simply ignore the warning that the invitation is dangerous. Jaman understands and says maybe next time. But because Dowan refuses, the quest gives him a penalty. It is a brutal pain in his groin and he doubles over. The pain is awful. It will last an hour, and if he wants to avoid more of it, he has to accept the quest. That night, Jaman meets up with Da and H High. For a second, he thinks coming here was a mistake. Then the girls Jamon invited show up. One stands out most, the girl with short hair, and Dan is instantly smitten. Once they get to karaoke, Jaman Shin tries to pour him some liquor. For the moment, the mood feels pretty nice, and the bill Jamie already has that covered. Then someone walks in. The guy Dawan bumped into earlier. Wan Yu asks if they know each other, and Dawan says they only met once. As Jan Yu Shin is about to hand over a drink, he spills it on Jan's pants. That is when Dawan realizes it's just Jan's it. One of the girls asks John Yuan Shin to sing, so he picks a ballad and makes John his dancer. It is clearly meant to humiliate him. Before that starts, Dawit steps to the bathroom. While peeing, he thinks about what to do next. Maybe he can just wait things out since he already completed the karaoke mission. He even thinks about running away, but then he remembers he cannot leave John behind. They are the same, both get bullied for being weak. Asks John Shin about John's pants. Jaman says they got wet, so he took them to wash them completely. Da's tone turns serious as he tells him to give them back. Then someone suddenly enters. It is a huge guy stained with blood. Turns out he is Jaman Shin's friend. He does not look like a high school student at all. Scared for his life, Dawan quickly says he only wanted the microphone so he could sing. But then a new mission appears. Hit Jaman Shin in the head with the microphone. He has only 30 minutes. If he fails, he will get the same painful penalty as before. Mission penalty hit, and the fat guy's name was Manoon. He was using Jan as a chair. Curious. He asks Dan was the one who beat up Huch while he stays. If only he could unlock his destructive hit skill, this would be a lot easier. But he still didn't have the key. Only 15 minutes were left. Jaman asks why Dawan hides how strong is he. Dawan doesn't need to answer. But Jaman had a reason for calling him here. He wanted Dawan to join his gang. If he did, he could have anything he wanted. Dawan tries to turn him down, and Jamie mocks him, asking if he plans to stay a gaming nerd forever. According to Jamie, joining would change his whole life. Still, he says he doesn't have to answer yet. When he gets a moment alone with Jihan, Jihan gives back the key. Dawan dropped in the school hallway. Putting that aside, he warns him not to get involved with Jamie. He knows Dawan isn't exactly a good guy, but right now there were only 3 minutes left. Dawan had made up his mind. He stepped out and went into a storage room ready to endure the pain. He wasn't going to smash Jaman in the head because joining the gang might really change his life. Only 9 seconds remained before the torture started. Meanwhile, when Manshin tried to sing, he noticed the microphone was gone. As Jaman came out of the bathroom, Dawan raised the microphone and struck him in the head. Once Jaman was knocked out, the mission was complete. Now Dawan planned to hide the body. But before leaving, he had to save Jihan. So he grabbed Jamie's phone and texted Manshun. Manshin got a pretty rude message that looked like it came from Jaman. Dawan just wanted him away from the room, but suddenly he showed up behind him. New surprise mission appeared, telling him to defeat Manshin. Manshin kicks Dawan, then grabs his shirt and punches him in the face. He calls him a coward for stabbing Jamie in the back. The only coward here was Manshun. He throws Dawan aside, and when Dawan crashes into some boxes, he spots the key. He wonders where he's supposed to use it. Then a window pops up. This key can unlock one of his skills. He opens the skill lock with it, then unlocks it, and tells Manshun to come at him already. Manshun charges at Dawan, and the kid leaps up straight at him. The card he unlocked was called Falcon Descent. It needed 120 mana. But since Dawan didn't have enough, he only ends up getting beaten in the face. He curses the system because he still didn't have enough to use it. Just when he thinks it's over, he remembers that clearing the mission to hit Jaemon in the head should have rewarded him with a copper key. But it wasn't here. That meant the key was in front of the bathroom. But Manson wasn't about to let him run. He forgot that Jaemon was still here. With no other choice, Darren tries to force his way through the door, but only gets slammed into the elevator. Manson crushes his head, and he, desperate to escape, pretends that behind the elevator doors, he had called all his people. It works for a second and fools Manson, but there was nobody in the elevator and Dawan had already run. He sprints in a panic looking for the key but trips like an idiot. Manson was right behind him and about to beat him down, but at the last second Dawan finds the copper key. Reaching for it, he decides to open his stats window and unlock his mana growth. As he raises his mana points, the fat guy closes in on Dawan. Once his MP jumps by 100, Dawan dodges the attack, steps onto his shoulder for momentum, then jumps as high as he can to bring down a falling kick, better known as Falcon Kick. The blow sends out a shockwave and takes Menchan down, clearing the mission. His reward is a silver key, and just when he thinks he finally won, Jaemon wakes up. He demands an explanation from Dawan. Dawan tries to answer, but then Manchan's brother appears behind him. Jaemon had already told Dawan that Manchan's brother worked here. People in other rooms hear the commotion and come out to look. They were friends of Jane and Manchan, bullies. From different schools all hung out here. He had no mana left, so he was completely finished. As for John, he was leaving after hearing that Manchan was handling some personal business with Jamian, but he knew Dawan had helped him get out. Then the short-haired girl, Sion, says she's going to the bathroom first. Now back to Dawan. Just as he's about to get beaten to a pulp, one of the karaoke workers warns them that the police are coming. He tells everyone to use the back door. For now, Dawan was safe, but Jamin would never forget this. The Dawan got out of the mess, but his body had hit its limit and he passed out in the hallway. When he wakes up, Sion is right in front of him. Dawan tries to speak, but she covers his mouth. They were in the women's bathroom with police outside, so she hid him there. She was the one who reported alcohol being sold to minors. She helped because she saw him. She watched him beat Manchan, so maybe he wasn't a total loser after all. That's what Dawan thought. He figured she had fallen for him. To repay her for helping, she says he has to grant one wish and she'll ask for it soon. The next day, he wakes up and gets a call from his mother. She yells at him for not calling her for 3 days. But now that she knows he's alive, she has to get back to work. Dawan is shocked to learn he had been out cold for 3 whole days. He's starving, so he orders fried chicken. It was his first time fighting 3 thugs in a single day. But now that his body and mind had recovered, he planned to log into the game and find the knight who gave him the system. But when he searched for that player ID, it showed as non-existent, like the account had been deleted. Maybe he'd have to figure the system out on his own. But first, there are 3 things to know about it. First, the system treats him like a game character, so he can see his level, stats, and class. Also use any skills he earns. The system labels his enemies as monsters and beating them gives him keys. After hunting monsters, he can also get an item. Third, keys can make him stronger. The silver key he won can unlock a passive skill. Keys have ranks too. Bronze and copper raise stats. Silver unlocks a passive skill and gold unlocks an active one. His first skill, destructive hits, been sealed during his evaluation. He can unlock it by getting a key. The worst part is the punishments he gets for failing missions. And now that he had made enemies of Jaemon and his group, he needed a plan. But that could wait. First, he was going to eat his chicken. Before he opens the door, a system message gives him a mission. A woman is going to ask him out and he has to accept. But the person at the door isn't the chicken delivery guy, it's Sion. Asks why she's here, and she says it's time for him to pay up on that promise. That was their deal. Then she tells him to take off his clothes. For a second, Dawan thinks this is the mission he got. He's embarrassed. But if this is the mission, he has no choice. Then he realizes he got it all wrong. She only told him to take off his clothes because it was hot in there. After getting dressed again, Sion checks his closet for something he can wear out. But since all he has are pajamas, they decide to go shopping. The first outfit she picks doesn't suit him, but when he tries the next one, it looks way better. Then a new mission appears. He has to offer her food. So Dawan takes her to a restaurant, but once they sit down, neither of them says anything for 30 minutes. Since Dawan didn't know her name, he asks and she says it's Can. He asks because he wants to know more about her. Before long, they really do start getting closer. They go to the movies, then a cafe, the karaoke, finally the arcade. Dawan tries to impress her with his skills, but she's only staring at an anchovy machine. He pretends he's going to the bathroom and wins a few anchovies for her. When he sees her waiting, he calls her by name and someone suddenly yanks his hair. It's Seon, upset that Dawan calls Seek by her name. Clearly he knew her. Sean calls Say name and tells him to let go. He then asks who this guy with her is. She answers that he's her boyfriend, so they're on a date. And she doesn't want to be bothered. Then they leave, abandoning the anchovies. Later on, while Daewon is deep in thought, Seon says they've reached the place she wanted to bring him. It was a hotel and a system message tells him he has to go inside. They head to the top floor where the rooms are. Daewon is nervous, but she says he only has to stand there and do nothing. Then he notices the whole floor is closed off. Where exactly were they? It turns out they were at a gang meeting. Someone tells everyone to be quiet. The meeting with the Gwanuku members is about to begin, and they bring up an earlier incident. They report that someone attacked gang members at the school and at the karaoke. That person was Daewon. Now they need to deal with him. Not so they ask who wants to take him out. Everyone raises a hand. Then a message suddenly appears in front of Daewon. It tells him to enjoy the thrill of despair. Daewon wants to get out of there, but Sikong off Jurong and says they should move to the next agenda item, choosing a new leader of Boram. Sikong brought him here, make him the new leader of Boram. And since Sikong was part of Boram, she had the right to choose the next leader. Everyone realized he was the same guy they were supposed to judge. She picked Daewon because she saw real potential in him. Even Yun Sung, the leader of Silem Dong, did not mind having an enemy lead Boram. Daewon wanted nothing to do with leading a gang, but Xiang told him to think hard before refusing. Without Boram behind him, the thugs hunting him would come right away. If he joined, he would not have to carry the burden alone, and she was not doing this for him. She just did not want that other person becoming Boram's leader. Then that person showed up. The one trying to become Boram's leader was Xiang, and he had no plan to hand that spot to Daewon. Daewon tells them to stop the noise. Sajong still insisted Daewon could become Boram's leader. Both of them wanted the title. They should settle it in a fight and decide the winner, the new leader of Boram. The thugs stood up from their seats and cleared space, ready to watch Sajong and Daewon beat each other down. If he lost, he would die right there. Daewon opened with a downward kick and slammed it hard at Sajong, but he blocked it just in time. Now Da was out of mana and completely screwed. Nance grabs his throat, and that feeling brings back old memories. Now Daewon clearly remembers who he is. Back in first year, Sajong used to be fat, but more than that, he was the one who choked Daewon every day at school, even while he was eating or using the bathroom. He even humiliated him in front of the girls at school. Dan cannot believe losing weight made him look that different. What he felt back then was pure envy. Maybe he still has a chance to win. Maybe not, because the strength gap is huge, but lying on the floor will not save him. He decides to win with a plan. He starts throwing punches that look strong to us, but they are actually pretty weak. And he has a reason for that. 7 hours earlier, he used the silver key he won to unlock one of his passive skills. That passive was a critical hit skill, but it only had a 1% chance to work. The good part is that it uses no mana. The bad part is the odds are awful. Basically one critical hit in every 100 punches. When he reached punch number 100, he tapped Sarjong lightly in the chest and waited for it to activate. But nothing happened. Sarjong thought Daewon would have some hidden trick, but if he really wanted to win, he would need raw strength. Beats him until he is nearly unconscious. Daewon's hits mean nothing because Sajong's body is packed with muscle from constant training. Calls him a disgusting fatso. Looks like he really did know the old guy. But Sajong still does not remember Daewon. Thugs like him never remember someone weak. Sajong moves in to finish him, but Daewon tries to stop him with a kick. Sajong catches his leg and throws him into the chairs. Han thinks this fight is already pointless. Sajong was the winner from the start. He can tell Han has lost the will to fight. And yes, Han feels helpless. Maybe he trusted that critical hit too much, even though it only had a 1% chance. But if he lost here, the thugs would kill him. Still, he would not accept that he was going to win somehow. Even so, the only thing on his mind was escaping. Then, as he steps forward, he stumbles awkwardly on his jacket. When his hand touches Sehun's chest, the critical hit finally triggers, the one Daewon needed. Najing flies into the elevator doors and drops defeated. Some people think he used the palm of Buddha, but that was not it. Actually pulled it off. Still, this was no time to celebrate. Sajang was still awake and now he really wanted to kill him. But instead of shaking in fear, Daewon was full of excitement. Maybe now his odds of winning were finally real. He says he is going for Sajong's chest again. Sang guards it and tries to block, but that was only bait. The real target was his nose. No matter how trained his body was, you cannot train your nose. Sahan starts bleeding from it, and Daha does not waste the chance. He keeps yanking his nose and says he will stop. Only if Sasan gives, Sahan finally admits defeat. This time Daewon had won, then an electrical shorts set off explosion. Num thought it was just a special effect, but it was actually a fire. Everyone rushed outside, including Daha. Then he hears that Cyan is still inside, so he runs back in to save her. They do not know each other that well, but he feels she matters to him. She had spent the whole day with him. By the time he reaches her, the fire on her has already been put out with an extinguisher. They ask Da why he came back. Trying to dodge the question, he asks if he can go home now. He can, but now he has to accept that he is Boram's new leader. Dangha was exhausted. Sahan tells him not to stress too much. For now there is nothing he needs to do as Boram's leader. They arrive at Son's house, and before she goes in, he gives her the anchovy snack she wanted so badly. Sahan has no idea what he means. She was not looking at the anchovies. She was staring at a Sabaska poster. Even so, she thanks him for trying to save her. Now that the date is over, the mission count is complete. That since he cleared 8 missions, he will get 8 rewards total. A few days later, it was time to go back to school. This time, he entered class 12A early to set up his gaming gear. He looks for his seat and notices the room is empty. He makes a loud noise when he drops his stuff on the desk. He apologizes to the person next to him, but when he sees the ID, he realizes it is Dongquan, the leader of Simong. Sahan had warned him to be careful around that guy, because among all the leaders at Thug headquarters, Sahan was the strongest of them all. Though Manhwa did not want to fight. They were supposed to be allies. But Yusahan tells him the rules say gang council members can fight each other, so he plans to teach him a lesson for attacking people from his group. Manhwa shuts his eyes, but Yusahan lets him go. He has no interest in hitting him. Just like he said before, if he wants an alliance then they have one, so he does not need to worry about the other guys. From now on, nobody from Simong will ever hurt him again. The first class of the day, nobody orders him to game like usual. During second break, the third one, even lunch, nobody forces him to play. For the first time, the classroom feels peaceful. He heads to the bathroom. At the entrance, he runs into Chachmi. For a second, he thinks this is revenge. But Chacham only praises him for becoming Boram's leader. Since Chacham belongs to Smong and Young as his leader, he treats Dangha with respect. Then, he leaves after asking him to say something good about him to Yus. Since nobody is bothering him, Dawan decides to put away his accessories for good. At first, he thought he only had to beat thugs, but now he has become a member of the gang council. He wants to know what the system is really for. But for now, he plans to enjoy the peace. Aaron gives him a gift to thank him for helping her. Excited, Dan Happy opens the box and finds out Foxpence. It is supposed to help him recover stamina. The problem is he has to eat it alive, but then someone keeps tossing a phone at him. That guy wants him to play for him. Aaron asks if he knows him, and Dowan Happy says no. Cut to a dark. Aaron asks Sassoon why he decided to team up with Dowan Happy. The person being asked is Kim Kun, one of Silam Dong's associates. Eskin says he expected Dowan had to defend himself or attack, but instead he just stood there shaking in fear. Still, there is something strange about him. It is like he is staring at something no one else can see. That alone made him curious. Dowan Happy gets out of his seat and walks straight to the red-haired guy who handed him the phone. He refuses to play for him. Did that guy not know he was Young's friend? The red-haired boy is called Sunwo and he belongs to the gang council. But he is not with Silam Dong. He is from Banshan. Sunwo gives him a cold look, and just when it seems things will get worse, he takes back his phone and apologizes for shoving it at him without asking. Dan Happy wanted to look cool in front of Aaron, but she was already leaving with her friend. When lunch finally comes, Happy tries to hurry off to eat with Aaron, but someone stops him. It is Jean grabbing his arm and telling him to let Sunwo go first. Everyone around them was scared of him, and when someone tried to walk in, another student blocked his way. He was a third year. He called his friends over right away. Yan tells Dawan Ha that what he almost did was dangerous. Sunwo might look calm, but he is the exact opposite. He cannot stand anyone getting in his way. The red-haired boy asks what that guy's problem is. Then Sunwo asks if he really thinks he is faster. The red-haired fighter moves in to teach him a lesson, but the other guy only ends up taking hits to the body. Even though he is bigger than him, Sunwo is crazy fast and ends up beating him senseless. Doan Happy and Jiham watch the whole thing. Later, while everyone is heading home, Dawan hears Sunwo used to be a school athlete. That's to avoid trouble with him. But that is not going to happen because a new mission appears. It tells Dawan Happy cut in line Asedfaw's Minitsis. Meanwhile, in an alley, a boy is getting beaten badly. He apologizes for stepping ahead, but Sunfo has no interest in excuses. After beating him, he walks away. Dan Han hands the boy a handkerchief and asks if he wants revenge. Only 2 minutes remain. He tells the glasses-wearing kid that he will crush the guy who attacked him, while holding some keys in his hand. These were part of the reward for clearing 8 missions. 1 gold key and 4 bronze ones. With the bronze keys, he can unlock his player stat. Now that he actually needs it, he heads into a quiet alley. There he opens the skill window. He unlocks a new skill by using the bag. The skill lets him strike a blind spot. It costs 20 mana. Uses a bronze key to raise his mana. Then spends the rest on other stats. The girl runs to catch the bus but bumps into Sunwall. Makes it onto the bus, but Sunno is right behind her. Dawan grabs his hood and steps in front of her. That clears the first part of the quest. Next, he has to beat Sun. Dawan attacks first. Knows his blind spot strike. Sunwall gets mad down to run. It does not work. Sunno catches him right away. He grabs his bag, but Dawan slips out of it and hits his blind spots again. This might be his chance to win, or maybe not. Once Sun gets rid of the heavy bag, he gets even faster. Dawan goes for another blind spot hit, but this time O dodges and fires punches at his face. Dawan tries but cannot land a single hit. Missed. Dawan cannot keep wasting Massey. asks if he was trying to leave him frozen. Dawan does not back down. He attacks again, and just as Sun moves in, Dawan changes the path of his strike and lands it on his face. It works because a feint was the best way to win and because he had raised his attack stats. Now charges again. Dawan swears he will not lose. He studies his enemy's pattern and tries to dodge. All he had to do was move faster than him, but Sunwolf switches his punch into a hook kick. At this rate he could never beat him. Maybe kicks are Sunwolf's specialty. Dawan rushes into his range. He plans to fake another attack and then land the real one, but he gets caught instead. A high kick slams into his jaw, then jabs hit his face, followed by a kick to the chest. Dawan cannot move. He needs a plan now. He is down to 92 health and 40 mana, enough for only 2 more skill attacks. Just as Sunno goes for a kick to his face, Dawan kicks his Achilles. The blind spot attack is not just for his hands. He can use his legs too. That is what he figured out from the cards. He grabs his hoodie and covers Sun's sight, then goes in for a punch. But Sunwo drives it into his ribs. As he picks up a rock, he starts thinking about killing him. To understand that, we need part of his past. How he turned out like this. It started when he came in second at the school sports event. He had never gotten first because of that bald kid, and his father beat him for it. His dad forced him to take first place to chase the dream he had lost after an accident. The Sunwo trained day and night with weight in his backpack, but nothing changed. Even with all that effort, first place was still far away. He chose another answer. Remove his rival from the way, but that only made his father abandon him. Now, the only thing he has left is this need to never let anyone get ahead of him. Without noticing, Sunnu had Dawan's octopus's head. It got there when Dawan grabbed his hood. Mus grabs it and pulls it off, but the ink spills across his face. Dawan takes the chance and smashes him in the head, then uses his last attack to hit a blind spot at the jaw. Yuswo loses. After clearing the quest, he gets a bundle of keys, but when he tries to pick them up, the effects of his low HP hit him. He has only 4 health left. If he passes out here, some Wo could get back up and beat him again. He uses 1 bronze key to raise his HP, which steadies him for now. Nonton, he is safe. Since he already used 1 key, he goes ahead and uses the rest. With the gold key, he unlocks a skill called Destructive Blows. It is the same card he used against Chumwo. Since it costs 200 mana, he decides to raise his MP. After that, he looks for his octopus. He wanted to keep it as a pet instead of eating it, but a cat already has it in its mouth and gets away. By nighttime, the octopus sadly does not survive. Then his mom, she asks how his second year at school is going. Sumwo says he thought he might die, and she assumes he means from studying. Then she reminds him that next week is the anniversary of his father's death. She does not want him to forget to visit, but sadly she cannot go because of work. Nonswo looks at the family photo and reads a note with his father's name. His father was named Jihanjino, that is all for him. Meanwhile, at a building under construction, a guy named Ji Subo Chong, the second in command under Bonan's leader, hears the news that Sunwo lost to Duan, the leader of Borum. He is angry because if Bonchan's leader finds out, it will make the whole group look bad. They only picked Sunwo up off the street out of pity. This way of repaying them is a huge letdown. He tells his partner so to bring Duan there. Next day, Duan notices absent from Seoul. Duan asks if he knows where he is, and Duan says no. Honestly, he would rather not see him in class anyway. Maybe now he can enjoy a peaceful life for once. Then someone from another class warns Dawan that Bonchan's guys came into the school looking for him. The Bonchan group shows up and Dawan asks who they are. Nook tells him to come with them to Bonchan. Dawan refuses. Then they decide to drag him by force if they have to. Could he really handle 10 guys alone? Then Yunsung steps in and asks why they are here. One of them tells Yunok to show more respect, but he only gets a kick to the leg, his ankle breaking on the spot. Maybe Duan cannot take all 10. But do they really think 10 is enough for Yunok? One charges him and gets crushed. Another swings a chair from behind, but Yunok dodges and answers with destructive blows. 2 more try to trap him, and when they attack together, Yunok slips past them and drops both with a double kick to the head. The rest rush him all at once and he sends them flying with a single strike to both sides to do one. This is insane, so Jung was not lying when he said Junjong was the most dangerous of them all. Only their boss is left, but Junjong has already closed the gap. He does not hit him though. First, he needs to clean up the mess his group made. Then he asks Doan to go to the cafeteria so they can talk alone. Doan thanks him for the help. But Junjong suddenly asks why he attacked one of Bonchan's members. He also wants to know why he became Borum's leader. Without thinking, Doan says he is a bully hunter. Then remembers Yumsuda is also a bully. That makes him laugh, and he wishes him luck with the hunt. After school, Doan heads to the PC cafe to kill some time. He hears that some kids who were playing there earlier went to the bathroom. Then someone brings over the ramen he ordered. It is Harry, the one who served him. Doan asks if he works there. Not exactly, just helping his father who owns the PC cafe. For a second, Harry thinks Doan is trying to get free stuff. Then some students from another school sit at the kids' computers. They took those seats to steal their players' systems. And when the kids come back, the thieves leave. The boy from earlier realizes he has been robbed. Dowan tells Harry he saw those guys leave through the entrance, but he did not realize they had stolen anything. The kid asks Dowan to help. This time he has to beat those 4 punks. If he clears it, he will get a hidden reward. Nalchin chases the punks and opens with a blind spot hit. He is excited because the hidden reward is supposed to be a date with Harry. The guy he hit gets back up, so Dowan turns and runs. The others chase him into a dead-end alley. When they corner him, he is already gone. Only his jacket is left inside a box. They think he is hiding in the box, but Dowan is above them. Drops down with an axe kick that takes out 1. 3 are left. Dowan tries to look tough and says he is the leader of Borom from the bully headquarters. But one of them does not buy it. Dowan hits a sense blind spot. Then 2 of them rush him and both get struck in their blind spots too. This fight is easy because none of them know how to fight. When Dowan steps toward them, they back away and end up cornered. Using the multi-hit destructive blow skill, Dowan drops 2 of the 3. The last one begs him to forgive him. For a second he agrees, but then he remembers the date and finishes him with a flying kick. That ends the last enemy. The quest is complete and he gets a silver key. Dowan makes punks apologize to the kid and then they leave. Arn thanks him. Their super cafe had been dealing with people like that who stole items. As a reward, they invite him on a date. But first, here is how Darren met Erin. It is simple, she was his first bully. Back then they were both in 1st grade. Dowan was scared of her, so he spent months avoiding her until they ended up at different schools. Then 3 years later he met her again. This time she was not the same bully she used to be. The hit Dowan took was love at first sight. Back in the present Dowan, while Erin got changed, Dowan used the time to unlock one of his passive skills. The card was called Weapon Domino. He could only use it when the other person had a weapon. The best part was simple, it used no mana. Once Erin finished changing, she came out looking amazing. Then she took him to a place she liked to eat, Tokyo Bokeh. The one she ordered though was pretty weird. Mint chocolate flavor. Still, Dan didn't want to upset her, so he ate all of it. If it made her happy, he'd do anything. Then he remembers his last date with Sid Dion and starts thinking the system might drop a side quest again. Asks Erin if she plans to take him somewhere strange after this. And she tells him yes, then brings him to play board games. Later, they try a truth or lie game with a machine and during Dowan gets disappointed. But she admits the machine doesn't work and everything she said was fake. After they finish playing at the shop, Erin gets interested in a game where you hammer in a nail to win a stuffed toy. Misses her shot, so now it's Dowan's turn. He's about to swing as hard as he can when a system message suddenly pops up and tells him to hit Erin on the head with the hammer. Out of everyone, it could have picked. It had to be Erin. But Dowan can't do it, he'd rather take the penalty. Just when he thinks it's over, he hears about a similar game. Except this one uses a toy hammer, so Dowan and Erin head over to try it. One person had to play rock, paper, scissors. The winner got to bonk the loser with the hammer, while the loser could guard with a pot on their head. When they start, he wins and tries to hit her with the hammer. But she turns out to be really good at the game. No matter how many times he tries, he can't land it. He only has 9 seconds left. Dowan makes his move before the next round of rock, paper, scissors even starts. That finally lets him hit her on the head. He clears the quest and as a bonus, he keeps the toy hammer even though it's completely smashed. Dowan thinks Erin will hate him after getting bonked in the head, but she just laughs. She actually had fun. Then she gets a message from her dad. She has to head back to the cyber cafe but hopes she can hang out with Dowan again soon. After they say goodbye, a guy in a cap walks up to Dowan and asks what his problem is. He came because he heard Dowan beat up his 4 guys. Dowan can't fight right now because he's out of mana. The guy in the cap says he's already lost interest in revenge, so he starts to leave. But before going, he says that the little sweetheart must be the girl who was with him. He stops him and tells him to go to an alley. Once they're alone, Dan throws out wild punches. He's hoping to land a critical hit, but there's only a % chance, even so he goes for it. The guy in the cap pulls out brass knuckles he had hidden and gets ready to use them on Don. Dowan reacts first and uses an item to hit him over and over. The thug thinks Dowan is swinging a bat, but it's just the toy hammer since the other guy has a weapon. Weapon Domino activates and boosts Dowan's weapon power. The thug tries to attack, but he keeps pressing him with the hammer. He aims for the head but gets caught. That still doesn't stop Dowan and he smacks him in the back. Right when he's about to finish it, the toy hammer breaks. So he can't use Weapon Domino anymore. Because of that, the thug lands a bunch of hits on him. They hurt a lot with those brass knuckles. Dowan asks why he lives like this. The thug says, "This pays better than living a normal life." Dowan smashes his nose using the strap from his belt. That counts for Weapon Domino. And he rushes in with fast attacks, but the thug grabs the belt and says, "Living like everyone else is a waste." Just as a punch is about to hit his face, Dowan uses a judo move and slams him to the ground, clearing the quest. Later on, Harry and his dad head home while Dowan watches from a distance, relieved that nothing happened to them. Back at home, he lies down. The words the thug said keep bothering him. His father tried to help kids like that, but at what cost? Darren has no aside, and uses his 5 copper keys. He chooses to raise his agility. Since he still doesn't know what spirit does, he leaves it alone for now. Next, he checks the reward he got for hitting Aaron on the head. The quest said it would be a dungeon map. When he pulls it out, it's actually an apartment sales flyer, but the quest points to a specific place he has to enter. It even has an end date. He has 5 days, and to clear the dungeon he needs 2 more people with him. The next day at school he asks Zoom to join his team but gets turned down. They were only allies. At lunch he thinks about asking Jian-Yu and his crew, but decides it's too dangerous to drag them in. After school Jun is waiting for him. She takes him to meet the members of Boram. Dan is nervous but only 2 people are there. Sejin is one of them, which makes sense since she's with Boram too. They still don't get along but Sejin tells them to sit down. Boram only has 3 members now. Everyone else from the meeting left, because they didn't want Dawan as leader. The guy with glasses introduces himself as Shusei. After that Shun warns him not to cause trouble. She heard he messed with Boramage's group Seor and even ran into Nong, but now they need to stay low since their group is so small. 4 days later Jet is talking with the building boss. He demands more money for his men's work. When the old man refuses, Ilzik steps in to deal with him. After that Jet orders an attack on Boram because Dawan has started causing them trouble. But before his guys can move, Dawan and Sun show up first to attack. Kaun only agreed because Dawan promised her the representative spot. The 2 of them jump in and start beating Bonza's people. Dan has his own goal too. If he takes down 5 enemies he gets a gold key. He starts dropping everyone who gets in his way. Soon Dan has 4 down and needs 1 more. The last one is the guy fighting Kun. When Kun is about to get stabbed he throws his Xklotik and drops the last enemy, earning his gold key. Goes full tsundere and says she didn't need his help. Then they run upstairs and meet Ilsak on the way. Nen heads past him to fight Jet and leaves Ilsak to Dawan to make the fight easier. Dawan even asks Ilse to use a weapon. When Sejun reaches the top floor she comes face to face with Jabi. Back with Dawan he realizes his opponent is elite level. He tries kicking Ils in the balls but Ils blocks it with his hands. Dawan backs off and Sol says he'll win. He starts striking at blind spots while blocking the attacks coming at him. Before the fight keeps going Ilsak tells him what they found. He knows Dawan's father led Sun Shelter. The man wanted to guide young criminals onto a better path but it all ended badly. He tells him not to talk about his father. Meanwhile, this is blows with Jibo. Grabs his leg. This slams him hard. Jibo answers with a knee to her nose. Alt shocked by how tough he is but Jibo says Ilse is the real tank here. No matter how many times he gets hit, even with a strong or critical blow he always gets back up like a zombie. Da's down to 200 mana. He tries using destructive blows but Ils cuts him off before he can finish. A punch slams into his stomach and I starts trashing his father saying his son became a gang boss and that it helped lead to his death. Does he really think his father would be happy watching from heaven? His life was wasted on others. Dawan takes the hit head on but stays on his feet and tells him to leave his father out of it. That beating unlocks a new skill called Stun Blow. It costs 90 zit on Ilzio. Even then Ilsak keeps going, and grabbing Dawan by the leg says he'll finish him. On Kun she lands a huge shot on Jabad's jaw but he fires back with a double kick. It throws her off balance and he gets on top of her and starts pounding her. Nell just tells her not to worry about her representative. Ilsak is strong enough. Back to Dawan. He's now throwing desperate punches that barely do anything. It feels useless to keep pushing. No matter how many times he tries, he keeps failing. But games are like that too. You fail again and again before you win. His father always told him to keep going and never give up. That's why he won't quit. He throws another punch, and this finally hurts. Nell still keeps coming and punches Dawan in the stomach, but Dawan grabs him by the face and they both fall from a great height. Like in a game Dawan finally figures it out. Now he knows how to beat him. Throw him from high up, that's the real stun blow. His father's last advice echoes in his head. No matter how many times you try your effort will pay off. There's no such thing as useless hard work. Don defeats his enemy, he was completely spent. Then someone suddenly showed up. It was Bong's representative Jun Sojin. Back with Soon he chokes Jubai until he passes out. Meanwhile when Da reaches Suhun's floor he finds Suhun already beaten by Jubai, who had only pretended to be unconscious. Dawan pushes him aside and tells Sadu to get up. He says he'll get him out of there since he dragged Sadu into this. Protecting him is his job. Dawan still had to finish off Jubai, the final boss, but he was out of mana and low on health. Just when it looked like it was over, Bong Jun's representative arrived. Nabai tries to explain what happened, but when Dawan sees him he's surprised. The representative is really small. Jubai keeps trying to speak but Setu Jun shuts him up. He already knows what Jubai has been doing behind his back, so he punishes him with a kick to the face. Da was next but Sean steps in. He was the one who called Bong Jun's representative to handle this. In the end Sehan and Sung really did help, so tells him he'll let this slide once then leaves. With the mission over, Dawan and Sehan walk out of the building. Just like they agreed, Dawan hands over the representative zip. But after remembering how Dawan never gave up on him, Sehan knows he's the better leader. He just doesn't say it. Maybe next time he'll really take that spot. The system checks his contribution in the dungeon, and since he didn't beat the final boss, he still gets a reward, just a smaller one. Yet he ends up with 12 copper keys, which is a lot. The next day he visits his father's funeral. He looks at the photo and remembers the accident. His father had crashed into a light pole because the brakes failed, and he did it to avoid hitting someone standing in the road. Then Dowan notices a rose. Someone tells him his father was a good man. But what if he found out it wasn't an accident at all, but something planned? What if the person behind it was close to him? The one who says this is Hunong. Da asks how he knew his father. It turns out they met when Shunong was a kid. His father saw him drinking coffee and bought him a yogurt drink instead. At first, Shunsung thought he looked suspicious, but he was just someone who worked with the bully council, a hunter of bullies. Shunong doesn't tell him all that, but Dowan still wonders if he knows about his father's accident. Nanshan says he has the evidence they couldn't find back then. After meeting with So Bongjun's representative, he was shown a video from a security camera that captured his father's death. It clearly held the proof from that old case. If Dowan wanted to see it himself, he had to go straight to Bongun. Later that night the rain was pouring. He keeps thinking about what Young said. Knows later Yoon gets a message from Dowan. He's asking where So Chung is. Now we cut to him. In the middle of the rain, Dowan shows up. He demands the evidence Yoon Song mentioned, but Sahan answers no. Decides to take it by force, but his bodyguard steps in. Dowan had already used the bronze keys to raise his mana, so he throws out every card he has, using skill after skill until he wins. Nolan Jong is shocked, so he attacks too, but Dowan moves first and brings down a heavy kick. Sihan blocks it. That won't be enough to beat him, so tries again with kicks. Blind strikes, punches, stun hits, but none of it works. The attacks were messy, so at close range Sehan Jong lands a brutal hit that wipes out most of Dowan's health. His offense was strong but his defense was weak. He grabs his leg and throws him off balance. He gets on top of him and starts throwing destructive blows again and again, but Sehan Jung dodges all of them. Don's knuckles were torn up, so he tells him to take the UCB and make this easy. But it was only a trick, he wasn't going to make it that easy. Dowan had hit his limit. Sean Young says he'll be ready for their next fight. And when that day comes, he'll kill him. Dowan blacks, and when he wakes up, he realizes he lost. This time he had failed his father. He was terrified. He didn't know if he could win this time. But then a system message appears. Mission is assigned. If he accepts, he'll get a huge stat boost. Dan accepts right away. If it will make him stronger, he'll do it now. For a flashback, Dowan's father was the representative of Sunshelter, a group that tried to guide kids onto the right path. People admired him, though didn't. His father was always busy because of that work. Even when Dowan begged him not to go because those kids would never change, his father stayed true to his beliefs. If money was the problem, Dowan was willing to help. But his father only cared about helping those boys. Not even Dowan yelling at him changed his mind. That was the day he lost him. Dan seeks up with a fever, but after seeing the system rewards, he decides to finish the quest. It was a training mission. The first task was going to school while holding a spider pose. It was ridiculous, but he refused to stop. The next task was sitting in an invisible chair. The third was catching 100 pigeons. The fourth was hanging from a slide for 7,000 minutes. The fifth was surviving a brutal rhythm game. 1 week later, he had only reached 2%. Dan thought the whole thing was absurd. Maybe the video Yunok mentioned was a lie. Maybe he should just ignore his mission for now. But he didn't notice that Saihan was there training too. Dan asked why he isn't at a gym instead. Nelson says he used to be ashamed of his body, so he trained in the park for 2 years. Even for him, this kind of training was hard. He could relate. Any sport he ever joined, he would quit the next day because he lacked determination. Sihan asks if he's really going to stop training. That pushes Dan, and he chooses to hold on to his goal. News Chest Pustin walks into Sekyong Jong's office. This time, he's ready to get the recording. Things were going to be different now. Sekong rushes at him to attack, but Dowan blocks. Then a punch comes for his face and he stops it with both hands. Sukyung realizes Dowan has changed a lot. He wasn't that weak kid anymore. Dowan starts blocking everything while dodging the clean shots. Even the hook kick doesn't land like before. This fight was finally getting interesting. He charges at Dowan but gets cracked in the jaw. If he keeps playing around, he'll just look pathetic. From now on, he stops messing around. That only makes him more excited. He starts throwing attacks, and when Dowan gets cornered, he fires back with a front kick. Sukyong Jong attacks again and lands a shot to the face. The hit hurts but not much. Dwan answers with a punch, but Soyoung shifts direction and throws a kick. Then follows with a shot to the liver, forcing him back before driving a knee into his face. Dwan still manages to block it, throws him off, and now he is the one landing the blows. He tanks the counterattack and hits back with a punch to the stomach. Then he activates his critical strike, wins the fight and takes the recording. As Jubai's men head for Soyoung Jing's office, Yoon Song-han cuts them off. He won't let anyone interfere in the fight. Could they really take him on? Yan Song-han isn't scared of any of them. He gives them two choices: leave now or fight him. But Dawan was already done, so he leaves with Yanzong Han. Jabai walks into his boss's office and asks what happened. Qiangying just says it was nothing. Soon enough he learned the secret behind Da's strength. Later at the park, Dawan watches the recording. Someone had cut the brakes, but he still couldn't tell who it was. Then he focuses on the clothes the person was wearing. The moment Dawan sees it, he realizes it's a sun shelter jacket. The same jacket his father designed for sun shelter. That alone is enough to tell him the person used to belong to sun shelter. Dawan can't believe the people behind his father's death were the same ones his father tried to help. The video had been sent by someone anonymous. He remembers an old building once used by the sun shelter group. Maybe the evidence is there. And maybe he can uncover every member involved. Once he finds the one responsible, he'll tear them apart. That won't be easy though, because exams start next week. So Yan decides to help him study. The two plan to study at Jan's house, but then another mission pops up. He has to protect Jan during exam week, which means someone is going to attack him. Not some guys in an alley were already looking for Yan. The one after him had those tattoos. 4 days before midterms they arrive at Jan's house, which feels like a mansion. A woman welcomes them in. At first Dawan thinks she's Jan's mom, but she's just the housekeeper. They head out from his room and start studying. Later they say goodbye. Nothing bad happens for now, and the reward is a hidden item. Next day, Dawan nearly passes out from studying. They take a break and go to the game room in Jan's house. Dawan asks about the other room and Jan says it's just storage. The day after that, after class, they plan to go back to Jan's house to study again. Nan tells Dawan he used to have over 20 tutors and they didn't all teach school subjects. They covered all kinds of things. But then they run into a friend of Yan, recognized him right away. It was Gaon, the tattooed guy from earlier. They had been friends since middle school, and it had been a long time since they last met. Dawan noticed Jian was shaking. He asked if Gaon was the problem, but Jian stopped him. Then they headed Clear's throat toward Jihan's house together. On the way, Yan said they could not study together today. Maybe they could do it tomorrow instead. When Jian stepped inside, the housekeeper told him his other friends were waiting. Up in the game room he found Gunam's friends already there. Jihan got nervous and then Gunam suddenly showed up behind him. Dawan could tell something was wrong. So he decided to go to Jan's house himself. But the housekeeper told Dawan that Jihan was not home. He had gone out with those other boys. Then a system message popped up. He had lost track of Jan and the mission difficulty went up. Now the goal was not just to protect Jan but to save him. That made Dawan realize Jan had been forced. Meanwhile, Jan and the others were at a private billiards room. He asked Gunam why he kept doing this to him. Gunam ordered his friends to get ready and said Jian was about to get beaten for talking back. Dan searched everywhere. When he finally called, Gunam answered Jihan's phone. He demanded the location and Gunam actually gave it to him. Jihan begged him not to drag Dawan into this, but Gunam shut him up. Dawan ran into one of Gunam's friends and used him to pin down the exact place. He forced the guy to confess, then got ready for a fight. Before that, here is some of Jian's past. His mother was in the hospital with an illness. She wanted her son to make friends, and that is how Jihan met Gunam. Their mothers were sick in the same hospital. Both families were rich and the boys went to the same school. That made them close fast. They were a lot alike. But then Gunam heard his mother had been moved to another hospital and that she might not survive. After that, something inside him changed back to the fight. They all rushed Dawan, but every enemy who came at him ended up taking a hard hit right to the face. Thanks to Sokyongjong's training, these guys were just rookies to him. Even Gunam's bodyguards were no match for Dawan. He helped Jihan get back up, and only Gunam was left, or so it seemed. Then the guy who had been sleeping threw a blanket over Dawan's eyes and attacked, but Dawan hit back. This time the man blocked it. Unlike everyone else there, this guy was on a whole different level. He blocked his attacks, and even inside the was huge, he still had the skill to fight back. The other man thought he had the advantage. He charged straight at Dawan but smashed his own head into a pillar. Just as Dawan was about to finish him, Gunam told him to stop unless he wanted to see Jihan's throat cut. Dawan let himself take the hits and could only defend, but if he fought back, Gunam would hurt Jihan. Gunam also threatened Jihan with videos on his device. They showed Jihan being abused by the other boys. If he did not want his mother to see them, he had better obey. Dawan got choked and nearly blacked out. This is how Gunam became like this. His mother died a week after being moved to that other hospital. After that, he stopped seeing Jihan because he envied the fact that Jihan's mother was still alive. Then he went down the wrong path and started tormenting Jihan out of hate. Jihan had tried to help him change, but Gunam refused. He was scared to watch his friend fall apart. This time though, things would be different. While cleaning the storage room, the housekeeper found Jihan's sports trophies. It turned out he had trained in all kinds of martial arts. Now Jihan finally showed it. He rushed Gunam and disarmed him completely. With Jihan no longer being used as a hostage, Dawan could keep fighting. Gunfam saw what was happening and shouted for everyone to get up. Then he asked Dawan how much money it would take to let him go. He offered 3 times what Jihan had paid. Dawan did not care about money. Desperate, Gunam told Jihan to stop him if he did not want that video shown to his mother. That threat had started because of one day in the past. Gunam, blinded by jealousy, insulted Jihan's mother in every possible way. That was what made Jihan snap and beat him up. Both of them got sent to the office after Gunam's father complained. Since Jihan's father was overseas, his mother came to school herself, but she was not in good condition. That was the moment Gunam took advantage and began bullying Jan. While it happened, they took photos and videos as proof to threaten him with showing everything to his mother if he fought back. Back then he was alone. Now Dan grabbed the phone and deleted the files. But Gunam said he had copies on another device. Nim still wanted Dawan beaten, but Dawan decided to let Jan choose what to do with him. Then Gunam grabbed a glass bottle and tried to stab Dawan until Jan jumped in and kicked him in the face, ending it there. Jan told him that Gunam's bullying in middle school was what made him so painfully shy. He felt guilty for dragging Dawan into this, but Dawan said Jan had been amazing. Without that kick, he might have been stabbed. Then Dawan asked what he would do now. Nuit said he was going to tell his mother everything. This time he would not give in to fear. He had helped him find courage. Later at a park, Dawan opened his hidden item. This reward was different. It was a lock that could put him into an automatic mode, a pretty broken and dangerous item. After exams ended, Dawan asked Jan what he would do next. Nan said he would visit his mother in the hospital. Then he asked Dawan the same thing. Yes, Dawan was going to the solar refuge to look for more proof about the convict tied to the case. When he reached the building, he thought it had been torn down, but an old man passing by told Dawan it had only been remodeled. He asked why he had come. He said he was the representative of the solar refuge and wanted to find anything connected to it. The old man explained that when they remodeled the place, it had already been cleaned out. Still, the only thing they found inside was a small box on the floor in what used to be his father's room. Inside were a pair of broken glasses. That was all that remained. Dawan thanked him. Elsewhere at a cafe, a boy named Jino Sha, one of Siwon's people, was serving a customer. The customer was Gonam. He wanted Jino Chav to go after Dawan but first he had to pay. Nati tossed over the money and told him to get rid of them for good. Genta did not like Gonam's attitude, but money was money, so he accepted the request. He asked for the names again, and once he heard Dawan was involved, he knew things were about to get interesting. The people Genta hired were busy with other jobs. One of them was Heo Sid Job, another Sigjoan associate, the crazy younger brother. Another was Taya Sujib, the crazy older brother, also tied to Sigo 1. Those two would handle it, especially since they had just gotten out of juvie. Then the school trip day arrived. At first Dawan felt bored, but seeing Aaron and Jan with him made it feel different. This time he was not alone. They were headed to Gonggu and both brothers were on that bus. New arc was about to begin. The bus finally stopped. Everyone got off, went to a pottery class and started making pieces. Dawan was awful at it, but John was really good. After pottery, they went to eat pizza. Later they visited another spot, and while Dawan was walking around, he saw Aaron wearing an old empress's crown. The teacher told the students to go enjoy themselves before dinner. John and Dawan explored the area. At an ice cream shop, Hyoab wanted to attack him right away, but Tayo told him to be patient like him. Then, the person handing him the ice cream stained his shirt, and since it was his favorite, he ended up knocking the guy unconscious. Meanwhile, Dawan and Jan kept having fun. Dawan remembered that school trips used to mean being alone. He never talked to anyone, and people even messed with him while he slept, but that was in the past. Then they went to a shop that rented ATVs. Erin and her friend were already riding one. To split everyone into teams, the owner told them to pair up. That meant Dawan got paired with Aaron. The two rode together. Dawan was thrilled. Students from another school saw them and got jealous. One blonde guy took an interest in Aaron. Remember him because he will act cocky later. They passed an ice cream truck, and just when Dawan tried to flirt, Aaron got dizzy. It was not because of what he said. The noise from the truck bothered her. They sat down, and he asked if she would go to the festival that night. She said no because she hated loudspeakers. Instead, she planned to go up a hill and watch the stars. Then Jan showed up carrying Aaron's friend. What happened was that while trying the ride, she had fallen after letting go of Jan. He had jumped in fast to save her, and he told Dawan all about it. Later, they got back to their rooms and rested for a while. The next day, they took a school photo, and Aaron and her friend tried on some outfits. Still, Aaron felt like someone was watching her. It was almost midnight, and the two brothers decided they would attack tonight. That same night was the girls' dance club event. Only the dancers' partners were allowed to sit in the special seats. They laughed at the guys without partners, but he did not realize Jian was up there. It turned out Minji did not have a partner, so he brought Jihan to the seat. Dan felt betrayed, but when he remembered Aaron would be in the mountains, he decided to go find her himself. But the moment he took another step, a systems message told him he had entered a dungeon and had to defeat the enemies. Then Tayo suddenly appeared and attacked. Hyob showed up too. The other one swung a sword and hit him. The brothers planned to bury him right there. But when Dawan saw there were only two of them, he slammed the younger brother and said 2 opponents would be easy. Then Dawan rushed the older brother ready to use his destructive blows. But the younger brother cut in and attacked him, so Dawan turned and hit him back. The older brother kicked him in the back. The younger one charged again from the front but walked into a blindside punch. Then the older brother struck him in the head. Unlike the others he had fought, these two worked together really well. No matter how hard he tried to attack one, the other would hit him while he was focused. Landing a clean blow was tough, so he tried another plan. Dawan aimed blindside punches at the younger brother, then switched the path of his strike toward the other one. But that brother had already guessed the trick. He threw Dawan off balance. Yet Dawan changed the attack into a downward kick. The younger brother yanked his hood, and both of them grabbed his arms. They had him pinned, and were just about to snap them when he smashed their heads together. His arm was almost broken, but then he noticed a motorcycle. Someone else was here. A hand grabbed Dawan by the arm. It was the eldest brother. While the brothers were fighting, Jihan was having a strangely good time. Back to Dawan, the eldest brother apologized to the others. He had run into some thugs on the way and taught them lessons. Dawan punched him in the face, but that only got him excited. So the man came straight at him, and Dawan slipped away. The brother spread out. The eldest brother chased him, but Dawan suddenly turned to attack. He wanted to split them up. Then the younger brother appeared behind him, but Dawan reacted fast with a kick. The eldest brother leaped in with a huge flying kick. Even blocking it made his foot go numb. All three brothers came at Dawan. He blocked the attack in front and stopped the side kick too. But three opponents were too much since he only had two hands. They were going to wear Dawan down piece by piece. Just when they were about to finish him, Jan grabbed the eldest brother and slammed him into the grass. It turned out that when he escaped, he had sent his location to Jan. Now, the two friends rushed the remaining brothers. The younger brother went for John but got hit by the one-in punch. Dan went after the older brother and hammered him with a flurry of destructive blows, taking him down. That left only the eldest brother. Then someone in the distance noticed the motorcycle. It was the thugs he had humiliated earlier. They came back with their whole group to get revenge. Dawan asked the eldest brother who sent him, but he refused to talk. If he gave up any info, would his boss kill him? Instead of answering, he pulled out a hidden knife. He was about to stab them when the thugs from Susi Institute showed up. They were the real monsters of the dungeon. They started beating and kicking the eldest brother's group. That made him furious, and he tried to attack them with the knife. But one of them grabbed him and the blonde guy started slapping his face, while his brothers got beaten too. An tried to step in, but Dawan stopped him. Right now, they had to think about surviving themselves. The gang recognized Dawan as the guy hanging around Aaron. There were too many for him to handle head-on. The blonde punk told Dawan and Jihan to fight each other. Dawan moved first, but instead of throwing real hits, he only shoved Jihan around. Then he told Jihan to get as far away as possible. He would handle the rest alone. He needed the padlock he had hidden in his pocket. Reaching out, he grabbed the fat guy in front of him and locked the clasp. A dark aura wrapped around Dawan's whole body and he suddenly lost consciousness. His hand crushed the guy's shoulder and automatic mode took over. One of them attacked from the front, but Dawan dodged and smashed his jaw. Then he rushed the bald guy and hit him with brutal force. The look in his eyes was terrifying. Three men rushed him. They tried to strike at once, but no matter what they did, Dawan moved too fast for them. One grabbed his leg, so Dawan stomped on his head. Jan realized Dan could handle this fight alone. Nietzsche just waited for the others to come. The fat guy ordered everyone to charge and attack together. Since it was only one opponent, he burst forward with overwhelming force and struck them all at once. Even with so many enemies, he would wipe them out in moments. The fat guy wrapped Dawan up and started crushing his ribs. It looked like there was no way out, but Dawan squeezed the man's thighs with his grip until he let go. Then Dan used his whole body to spring up and kicked him in the face, dropping him completely. He had beaten all of them. The guy with glasses was stunned by what he saw. Thinking Dawan would not hit someone wearing glasses, Dan did not care and dropped him with a single punch. Only the blonde one was left. He attacked head-on, but he caught his fist and grabbed him by the throat. Meanwhile, Dawan's real consciousness woke up in a sealed room. A computer turned on, and the message on the screen came from the system administrator the night from the game. At the same time, Oren was walking through the mountains to watch the stars when she suddenly heard a phone ring. Someone had followed her, then quickly silenced the phone. Back in the room, the real Dawan spoke with the administrator. The administrator asked how life had been with this new change. One said it had gone from bad to worse. Getting missions to take down thugs was exhausting for him. But now he was no longer kneeling before them. He had grown stronger, could fight back, and could protect the people he cared about. So honestly, it was not all bad and he was thankful for it. Now that he had answered, the administrator told Don it was his turn to ask questions. But back in automatic mode, Dawan snapped the blonde guy's arm and kicked him in the shoulder, sending him flying. The guy pulled out his phone to call his boss Pion, but the call was cut off. Then Don stomped on his face. Hearing that name, the eldest brother remembered he had heard it before in juvenile detention. Pian had messed with the sister of the leader in his cell, but when people tried to kill him that night, Pian wiped everyone out inside. The reason he had ended up there was for abusing that leader's sister. And now the same thing was about to happen to Aaron, because Pian had fallen for her at first sight. Aaron tripped, and just as he was about to put his hands on her, Dan showed up. The system had marked Pian as the dungeon boss, so he went straight to finish him. He kicked him in the face and started tearing him apart with one crushing blow after another. Right before the final hit, Dan asked the system who it was speaking to. The answer, it was the administrator. Then came the next. Why give him this power? Was it because of the favor Dawan did in the video game? That was not the whole reason. There was more to it, but it was not time for him to know. The administrator only said the room he was in was where everything began. Suddenly the place shook. Automatic mode was running out of time. Dawan wanted to ask more, but that would have to wait. Right now he had someone to protect. Dawan woke up from automatic mode. Pajan kicked him. Don still did not understand what was happening, but then pain started spreading through his body. Automatic mode had side effects. He could barely breathe. Chan punched him in the stomach, taking advantage of how weak he was. Da tried to fight back, but even one movement felt like his muscles were tearing apart. Chan told him to shut up. Dawan could not move. Aaron begged him to stop, but Patch Chan wanted to have fun with her while Dawan watched. Noel could not stay down, he had to move. When Aaron was about to be touched, he stepped in front of her to protect her. He could barely stand. Chan punched Dawan in the face. Dawan tried to activate destructive blows, but the power was too low. He kept taking hits, so he used his cards again. They still were not working fully. Then he would have to use more. He used the same card over 6 times. It did not matter if his body tore apart. It did not matter if he blacked out. If it was to protect Aaron, he would use everything he had. And he finally brought down Chin. That completed the mission, but at a cost. He had gone past his limits and Dawan lost consciousness. Next day, Dawan woke up back in his room, but he was not alone. Aaron was sleeping beside him. She woke up and Dawan could not remember what happened last night. Aaron explained that after he passed out, Jan showed up and brought him back to his room for first aid. But somehow he had already recovered. How is that possible? Then he remembered that last night he had used the silver and gold keys to unlock his abilities. The silver key gave him a skill called Recovery, which restores his health while he sleeps. For now though, we still do not know what power the gold key gave him. Dawan asked where John was. It turned out John and Mingy were at the amusement park. Dawan and Aaron went to a restaurant and ordered pork chops with mint. There Aaron explained why loud sounds scare her. It started when she was very young. She got lost in an amusement park and searched for her parents, but the noise kept drowning everything out. It felt like the sound itself was stopping her from finding them. After that, nothing was the same. That is why she would rather watch the stars than spend time in the amusement park. So that night they went to the rooftop and looked up at the stars in the sky. Aaron thanked Dawan for helping her last night. Most people act tough and full of themselves, but Dawan was different. That was why she thanked him. Together they watched the lights of the amusement park and the fireworks in the sky. Nook and his cameraman Kim Jae were inside a Ferris wheel. They were gathering every bit of evidence they could about what Dawan had been doing. They planned to report all of it at the next bully assembly. He causes trouble. He only moves someone pushes him first. The story cuts to Suwon headquarters. Nan reports that the brothers were beaten, so Siwon's own representative, Ingong Kong, will handle Dawan himself. On the way back, the news warns that a bear escaped its cage and may be roaming the city. Dawan barely cares. He is more focused on the lock he used. We could find its key. Maybe he could use it again. When they reach the bus stop, someone from Si Jang's school is waiting for Dawan to speak with him alone. He says he will explain on the way. The two meet up with Si Jang. He called them because the bully council meeting was almost here. It would start tomorrow, and because of his role, Dawan had to show up as the representative. Most representatives sent underlings instead, but Dawan is different. Nizi wants to know what he did to get summoned. Dawan admits he fought some Illy students on the trip, but they were not tied to the bully council. Then there was the earlier clash with Bon, and after that he even fought Bonchan's representative. At first, Sijang does not believe him, but soon realizes he's serious. Still, that alone may not explain the summons since representatives are allowed to fight each other. Anyway, another representative was also called to the meeting. Maybe the issue was with him. Then we cut to Sijang's batting cage. Gam is tied up there while Kong Yoon uses the pitching machine to hit balls. He did it because he heard someone leaked that the brothers who attacked Dawan were working with Chi Jang. He suspects Gum, but leaking that would not help Gum at all. If that is the truth, Kong Yoon leaves, tossing him refund money into the machine and letting the balls keep firing until they run out. While Dawan walks Sejong home, he hears a sound from an alley and cannot believe what he sees. It looks like the bear that escaped. Dawan tells Chijang to run and call the police. He will stall for time and stand in the bear's way, but the bear tells him to stop. It is just a costume. The guy inside was flyers. A few thugs show up holding the bear's flyers. He begs Dawan to help because they are after him for crushing the cigarette they were smoking. Their leader demands 300 for the cigarette, but he does not have that kind of money. If he cannot pay, they will burn the bag of flyers. Dawan stops him, but the thug throws the bag into the air and sends everyone after him. Then he uses the power from the golden key, the one we still do not know, and drops all 4 enemies with one attack. The bear and Sejong are stunned and thank him for stepping in. After that, they head off separately. Not sees how strong Dawan has become. He knows he has changed. The bear throws away the flyers and takes off the costume. The mystery person turns out to know Dawan from childhood and had hoped to see him again. Next day, the assembly finally arrives. Dawan enters the meeting and takes his seat, and it starts right away. The first issue is that Chijang Yongji's branch attacked the Baromi branch. They demand an explanation from Sejang Yongji's representative, who is sitting right beside Dawan. He tries to play dumb and act like he has no idea what they are talking about. But the information came from headquarters, the Bully Council's main office. Dawan stands up to face him and asks straight out if he was the one who sent his brothers after him. Nihon, the cameraman, points out that the tattoo near Dawan's eye had a special meaning. I have killed someone. He tries to dodge the accusations, but the other guy suddenly throws a kick and Dawan blocks it. He guards against another direct attack. The guy says through his glasses that he will not lose to someone like Dawan. He will personally empty a seat in Boram. New mission appears for Dawan. Survive the attacks for 3 minutes. He takes the hits and swings a straight punch at his face, but only smashes the wall. Dawan tries to run, but Kongi does not let him get away. The kick lands on his face and Dawan gets back up again. Maybe he beat Bonchan's representative, but not everyone is the same. Each one is strong in a different way. Some are born gifted and others fight hard to rise above everyone else. Dawan does not belong here yet, so he decides to become stronger than every representative. The more hits he takes, the more reward points. It's only 7 seconds remain. He tells Kongi to come at him with everything. Maybe the next blow will kill him. With 1 second left, Hong orders them to stop. If Kongi keeps acting that recklessly, he will lose his position as representative. He is also reminded that all of this is being recorded by headquarters. So for now, Kongi backs off and their rematch will have to wait. Dawan gains 30 defense points. Just as he is about to leave, Hongan stops him. There is still one more thing to say. Every representative has to contribute money they earn. So he gets only 2 weeks to bring in income for the Bully Council's operations. That was all. Meanwhile, at the Siwon Central Office, Kongi heads toward his room. Then he notices blood on the doorknob. Inside, his men are badly hurt. He asks one of them what happened, and the man points to where the attacker went. After the meeting, Dawan wonders why the system gave him a mission that only told him to defend. Was someone else going to fight for him? When Kangi reaches the rooftop, he finds Yunok there, the one behind all of this. He came in person on orders from headquarters. He has seen the hidden documents and the records of the illegal things Kangi was doing for attacking Boram. He will be stripped of his title, and if he refuses, then Yunok will take him down himself. Kongi had a perfect younger brother. He was popular with everyone around him. Kongji, on the other hand, was anti-soul and not well liked. Even so, his brother always stayed by his side. That was the kind of brother he had. Kongi worked hard to earn his mother's praise, but his little brother always did better. It had always been that way. Like Kongi was only living in his brother's shadow. Back with Dawan, Sejang says what's happened at the assembly could have gone worse. And it is good no one pushed the fight further, but they still need to figure out how to earn money for the Bully Council. As Chang explains, there are special cases like the work done in Yijang's group. What makes them dangerous is not just strength, it is the job they do. They keep the Bully Council members under control. In other words, they remove traitors. Kongi does not rush in blindly, their attacks collide. Then he aims for the jaw but gets hit from the side. He catches Yunok's arm and drives a knee into his stomach, chaining attacks while staying guarded. But while he keeps talking, takes a hard shot to the jaw, then another to the face, followed by a knee to the solar plexus. The blow drops him. Even then, he refuses to give up and locks Yunsung's arm, trying to end it. Jingo Chi and his group head to the office to take the documents, the evidence connected to the client's crimes, but Kim Jin is already waiting. He planned to let them take the evidence, then stop them himself. Jinjae has no problem with that. Yunok defeats Ing Kong, and when he turns his back, Ingong Kong gets up and throws him off balance to send him off the building. But Yunok catches himself with one hand. Was Ingong Kang really willing to go that far? He was used to this kind of moment, because his younger brother once faced the same thing. Ingong Kang did not reach out a hand to save him. He was the one responsible for his death. He was tired of never being the son who got attention or praise for his effort. Even if his younger brother did not see it that way, it was simply unfair. One day, when his little brother was looking for his parrot, he found it on the roof. The boy climbed onto the railing and Ingong Kong heard a scream. When he looked, he saw his brother about to fall. Just as he was going to offer his hand, a thought crossed his mind. If he let him die, he could take back what had been stolen from him. He let his younger brother fall to his death. He tells all of this to Yunok. But while he is talking, Yunok pulls himself up with one hand and lands back on the roof. This time, Ingong Kong decides to finish it with everything he has. He charges straight in, then throws a knee at his face, but Yunok blocks it. He will not let anyone take what belongs to him. No matter what, he refuses to give up what he thinks is his. He swings with full power, but Yunok crushes his knuckle with an elbow. Then he kicks him in the side and turns his body into a high kick. He grabs him by the head and breaks his nose. Then Kong uses one last move to try to end it, sending out a shockwave. From this point on, he is out of the Bully Council, and his members will be moved to central headquarters. Yunok speaks to the ordered him to handle Ingong Kang and reports that the job is done. The person on the call asks if he is not curious why all this is happening. Still, he already sold himself to headquarters. They know Yunok is doing this for his sister, but he says he is only following orders. Now he has a new mission. He must deal with Dawan. Now Dawan walks through the rain covering himself with only his jacket. He runs into Yunok on the way. But right before that, he gets another call from his cameraman. He tells him Sean's men are finished. But there's a problem, Chin is missing. Getting the documents from Sean's office comes first. He hangs up because he still has to deal with Dawan. Dawan invites him to his apartment. He says he came because Central Office sent him.